Hey there, Emma. I hope you're doing well in this new strange reality that we're living in right now. I hope you're feeling healthy and emotionally somewhat sane, as sane as possible in these times. Hope you're taking some time for yourself and getting outside and still connecting with friends and that kind of thing. It's been very weird for sure. I'm feeling it too. And I know we can't meet face to face anymore, but if you ever want to chat on the phone or anything like that, I am here and would be more than happy to do that with you. I miss our meetings. It's really sad. But, anyways, let's talk about your writing. I really enjoyed reading these three pieces together, and I'm super just proud and happy for you because I know that this work writing about your dad especially was just so emotionally taxing when you wrote this first piece, the sunshine piece that we've looked at before. I know that that kind of took a lot out of you, and so the fact that you were able to keep going and to write more chapters or little vignettes and add them to this, I think is just awesome. These are three great pieces to put up together for workshop, and I think you're going to get some really wonderful feedback from your peers. And so, really nice job producing this work, getting it out there for workshop. I think you're still planning to work on the other piece that you were writing, the piece about your eyes and all of the kind of life events that fold into that as well. And that's great. You can work on that for your portfolio or for some other occasion in the class. But I think what you've put up here is really quite rich, and it's going to lead to a lot of fruitful discussion, I think, and feedback that you'll get from everyone. So I'm going to go through each of these essays, and I'm going to maybe talk about some elements within the essays, but then also I'm going to be speaking to the ways in which I see these three pieces working together as one story or kind of one big narrative arc. This first piece we've reworked. You've turned it in, I've looked at it, you've gone back and revised it and add some details, and I really do feel like this piece is pretty complete, this first vignette here, that it has a strong and complete narrative arc in and of itself, that you set some things up that kind of lay the ground work for what is to come later in this essay, and then also in some of the other pieces as well. So I don't have much to suggest in this first piece. So I'll just kind of scroll through this first one, maybe make a couple of comments, and then we'll zero in on the other two pieces that you submitted. Okay, so let's do that. I'm just trying to find my scroll bar. Everything seems to be a little wacky on this computer. Here we go. Okay. So you should have these comments too, so that if you want to slow down and go back and look at them at any point, you can. I just was amazed when I was reading this intro how I've looked at it several times already, and it still kind of catches my breath every time I read it, or punches me in the gut. I said here, it's just got such power behind it, especially this line, sort of I'm sorry your mom and I got divorced, but we still love you surprise. That's just such a powerful line. And so, so this piece still felt very fresh and really resonated for me, even though I've seen it a few times before. Again, I know we've talked about this, but I just love the details that you include. I think the details really give us a sense of how your dad is his own unique person. And he is a very interesting, eclectic person. And I like how you really capture that and convey that in these pieces. I also noticed how certain details get threaded through the other essays as well. And so you mentioned the Hobbit here, and then I guess the Hobbit comes back in the second essay, which I thought was really neat. I may have mentioned this to you previously, but the hearing aids, I like that detail a lot because it is interesting how we all have our imperfections, but how those imperfections can be so endearing to the people that we love. And so your dad's hearing aid, something about that humming brings you comfort. And so I just think that's a really special, neat detail. I pointed out this time something that I'm not sure I pointed out before, and it's this line here where you're reflecting on how you and your dad share this love of reading, how it's a special thing that you have between you. And I think what you're really capturing and conveying there quite strongly in this first piece is that you and your dad have a special bond that doesn't resemble anything else. It doesn't look like any other relationship in your or his life. It's just this really special thing that the two of you share. It's almost like what I feel like you're saying in this line is that you have your own language, almost the way that like twins have language with each other that nobody else understands. And it's so special. It's almost like this thing that you have in a bubble with your dad, and it's safe and it's wonderful, and you really value that, right? And so you'll see in the discussion board that I ask students in the class to reflect on what they think is at stake for the writer in this piece. And for me, this line really speaks to what is at stake for you. So what's at stake for you, the piece that's the kind of emotional engine that's driving this piece, is really the fear of losing that connection that is so, it was just so important to you. And of course it is. I mean, you're talking about one of your parents when we're young. Those are the most special and kind of sacred relationships that we have in our lives are with our parents. We spend all of our time with them. We look to be nurtured from them. And so I think what you're really conveying in this first piece is that those needs were being met. You know, your dad provided that comfort and that attention and that presence to you that all children need. And so I think that that comes through really beautifully in this first piece. This line is quite a powerhouse as well. That was the last sincere moment we had for a long time because everything was going to change. Everything did change, didn't it? And so it's biting, it's accusatory, it's sad, it's somber. There's so many emotions, I feel like, wrapped up in that line. And it's also giving the reader a heads up. Like there's a lot more to come. Things are not going to be the same in this relationship from this point moving forward. And so I think it's a really nice way to set the stage for all of the kind of emotional exploration that happens in the other two pieces as well. So moving through here, we've got all of these great details about the 4th of July and how that quickly got turned on its head when your dad took what was a really special holiday that you'd always shared with him and kind of repurposed it and created an occasion to propose to Dana, and how just devastating that must have been to you as a little person, so badly needing his love during all of this change in your life. And so that comes through, I think, really, really strong still. And then we end in this place of, I'm going to call it disconnection, where that really awesome connection and love that you established earlier in the piece that you share with your dad has kind of broken apart here, right? So the reader is feeling a little anxious at the end of this one, and it's okay. I think we're meant to be left with that anxious feeling like, oh, wow, things did not turn out okay. Which is why I'm glad that you have these other two essays that you've pulled in here, because you can kind of explore that disconnection a little bit more and see if there's any way it can move toward connection. Okay, so let's go ahead and move into the second piece here, All That You Can't Leave Behind, where I end and you begin. More just beautiful, powerful writing in this piece as well. I think it's a great extension of the story that you started in the last essay. I think what's neat is it's like you let the reader in even more in this piece. We started to get a glimpse of this situation in the first piece, and now in this piece you give us even more and more to start grappling with and kind of figuring out what's going on here. And so I love that you're 9 in this one. Such a sweet age, an age where, you know, you're kind of almost a tween and you're sort of going to start becoming your own person, but yet parents are still so important in our lives. One of the things I just love so much about this short essay is how you really capture the voice of a 9-year-old girl, with the kind of both in details in terms of the kinds of things that you're focusing on, but also just in your sentence structure, your word choices, just the style and the rhythm of your writing. I think it all brings the reader back to when we were that age and just how we felt. And it kind of gives us a sense of that vulnerability that you were feeling at that age when all of these changes were going on. And so it's just beautifully written and it's really compelling. So let's dive in a little bit. I'll talk about some things along the way and we'll see where this takes us. So my first comment here is this use of her. I know that what came up with your other piece, I know a student in class had mentioned they really liked that you were using her and not dropping Dana's name because it demonstrates kind of the tension and the distance that you have there. And I like that you're continuing that use of her in this piece. I did wonder if some readers might get a little confused about not necessarily knowing who her referred to. I guess it depends on whether or not they would have read the first essay before looking at this one. So my suggestion here was just to think about changing her to my dad's wife in this very first reference in the first sentence, second sentence, and then going back to her for the rest of it. I think that would fix that confusion pretty easily. So just talking about some of the voice and the details and how great they are. Love these details in this section right here about how your dad comforts you. He's a poet, and so he, of course, he quotes literature. And it's, again, it kind of loops back, it connects back to that special connection you share over reading, and it's like you have even these inside sayings that you share with each other, these lines from certain books that you've enjoyed together. And so again, it just kind of reinforces that he's trying to still hang on to that connection with you. But as we see in this piece, it's not the same, right? Like a lot has been lost at this point, but he's trying. This sweet, tender gesture, he runs his fingers on the back of your head and smiles, right? He wants to be there for you. He wants to connect with you, but he's being pulled in these other directions. And we start to see that more in this piece. The ceiling reference, I like that. The first piece, we're dealing with physical structures, a bedroom. We're dealing with walls and ceilings and how this bright, airy atmosphere is reflective of how you feel on the inside. It's comfortable, it's light, it's bright. But then now you're literally in a basement. And that's just so symbolic, I think, of how you must have been feeling at this time, kind of shunned, pushed away, not even allowed to be on the real level of the house, an afterthought, maybe less of a person, whatever it was that you were feeling at that time really comes through emotionally in these details that you're sharing about the basement. And so the idea that this is a place where spiders dwell, there are webs, it's maybe a little creepy, it's cold, it's not a nurturing environment at all. And that's kind of speaks to that lack of nurturing that you're feeling coming from your dad at that time. I love the cotton drywall stuff, that insulation material that you're talking about. We've all experienced that stuff. It's really icky, it's scratchy. I think it even has shards of glass in it. And so that's a really harsh material. And so that material, I think, really conveys just how uncomfortable you were feeling at the time. And so these details are just quite amazing. And I think they work really well to, again, give us to kind of pull the veil back on what you were feeling emotionally at this time. So I really love those details. I think they're just awesome. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Yeah, you can read some of these. Some of these things are just smaller comments that I'll just let you sort of look at on your own and think about. I did think that this look that your dad gives you is really telling, in that one moment in your essay conveys to the reader that this is a very dangerous is the word that comes to my mind. Like, it's dangerous or scary situation, especially for a kid, because these are not people who are emotionally stable. Your dad has to feel very cautious in terms of how he's interacting with each and every person in this situation. And so you could mess up at any point by saying the wrong thing. Like, you're walking on eggshells is kind of the feeling that I'm getting here. So just adds to that discomfort. This is not a warm, nurturing mother, not mother, but stepmother, I guess, who's bringing you into the fold of her life. This is somebody who's going to put a lot of strain on your relationship with your dad. And so that's all coming through very clearly here. Let's see. Okay. I have a lot more to say in these last few paragraphs. this video, because I'm using the free version, is going to cut me off in a few minutes, or no, in a few seconds. So I'm going to stop there, and then I'm going to come back in another video and keep going.